Right now on the National Weather Desk, tragic flooding. 5 people are dead and 2 children missing following flash flooding in Pennsylvania. While in New England, storms triggered a tornado and more flooding.
This isn't a river. It's the backside of the complex.
Brutal heat. Southwest cities bake in relentless triple-digit temperatures, including the hottest place on Earth.
People that want to go out and experience that kind of heat have to be prepared.
The heat is so bad, even zookeepers are getting creative to keep their animals safe.
We make little ice pops for a lot of our different animals.
A 150 million-year-old discovery as rare dinosaur bones are found in a Maryland park. And smoke from Canadian wildfire is back in some parts of the country.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
And a very good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Brian Vandegraff. Unfortunately, 5 people are dead and 2 children are still missing following flash flooding just north of Philadelphia. Torrential rain started falling late Saturday afternoon. The fire chief estimates nearly 7 inches fell in just 45 minutes. All that water triggered flash floods that quickly swept away 3 vehicles. One of them included a family of 5 visiting from Charleston, South Carolina. The mother drowned and 2 of her children are still missing. The fire chief says 100 people are out looking for them.
In my 44 years of service, I thought Hurricane Ida was the benchmark last September or the September before. I thought that was the benchmark. This is the new benchmark.
It's unusual to see that much rain in such a short amount of time. We asked Harrisburg meteorologist Ed Russo to explain just what happened.
This is the radar loop from that event. And notice how this storm just keeps redeveloping over the same area of Bucks County, and it lasts for several hours. That's why we saw so much rainfall within a very short amount of time. We call that training. And those kind of thunderstorms can drop between 4 and 6 inches of rain within a very short time span, and that's what leads to flash flooding. And this is something we don't normally show you. It's called precipitable water. It basically shows you the amount of water vapor in a column of atmosphere that, if condensed, would be in the form of precipitation. And we're seeing very, very high precipitable water values in Bucks County at the time that this thunderstorm occurred, which just gives us an idea on how much rain actually fell across portions of Bucks County.
That storm system eventually moved into New England, where flooding was also a problem on Sunday. In Bristol, Connecticut, firefighters jumped into stranded cars to help drivers and passengers get out. They rescued at least 6 people. About 10 miles south in Waterbury, several roads were shut down because of high water. Many cars stalled when they tried to drive across flooded areas. And in Massachusetts, the storm triggered flooding in many spots. It also spawned a weak tornado near Worcester. The National Weather Service says it was on the ground for about 2 miles. Thankfully, the only apparent damage was to trees. And in Maine, the storm led to even more flooding. Asia Reed has those details.
This is the intersection of Cross Street and Walker's Mills Road in Bethel.
As you see behind me, there's a bunch of water coming down. It's been torrentially downpouring for about more than half the day, I want to say.
Along this road is Butcher Burger. One of the shop's workers, Isaiah Lambert, says they had to close down for the rest of the day Sunday.
As of right now, we are closed down for the safety of our customers and the safety of our employees.
This isn't a river. It's the backside of the complex, the flowing water reaching about a foot deep in some parts.
The water is now running from Upper Street down and is going through the backyard of the old Bethel House of Pizza and making a giant river. We do have a big enough truck where we can drive back there and put our trash away properly.
And 1 week after those catastrophic floods in Vermont, we are seeing and hearing the work of the urban search and rescue teams. They're experts who come often from out of state to help find and rescue people following natural disasters. Over the course of the past week, these teams performed more than 200 rescues. Most of those crews have since headed back home.
We're really proud of those numbers. We're proud of the people that we're able to bring in. They were very passionate about doing what they did for the state, whether it was an out-of-state team or an in-state team.
Now, most of those crews have since headed back to their home states, and there are currently no flood warnings in the state. Now on to the heat, another big story across the nation. According to the government heat.gov website, nearly 100 million Americans are under a heat alert today. and temperatures in many places will once again rise above 110 degrees. Take a look at this map here, and you can see where those purples and orange colors are. Excessive heat warnings and heat advisories from portions of out west down to the southwestern portion of the United States, all the way over into Texas. And as I put this into motion, you can see some places will be having temperatures like Vegas, 113, 115 in Phoenix, El Paso, 107, 110 in Dallas, 108 in Houston. The heat continues to boil across a good chunk of the nation, and no real relief over the next couple of days. Cities that are used to being under these heat warnings this morning are definitely reeling. The National Weather Service issued an excessive heat warning for Las Vegas. It's expected to last at least through tomorrow night. The mercury hit 116 degrees yesterday, just 1 degree short of the all-time record. And Death Valley, California is just over 2 hours from Vegas and is known as the hottest place on Earth. As Andrew Nomura reports, people are still flocking to the national park, even though yesterday's temperature was 128 degrees.
Plenty of people will be heading out to Death Valley to experience near record-setting temperatures, but meteorologists at the National Weather Service wants to make sure that people are safe, with Death Valley temps reaching 128 degrees. To set the record straight, the hottest day recorded was 134 degrees. That was in 1913, and that record still stands today. Before heading out to Death Valley, here are some tips from meteorologists.
The important thing that we want to stress, aside from just the interest in breaking the record, is that this is dangerously hot weather. It does attract people to go out to Death Valley, but people that want to go out and experience that kind of heat have to be prepared. Have to be prepared for car breakdowns, for air conditioning going out, for a flat tire. And the way to do that is take lots of extra water, gallons of extra water, along with shade like umbrellas, and just be prepared to endure that kind of heat.
In Texas, the temperatures are so high that they are causing wildfires. Betty Cross takes a look at why the blistering heat makes it harder to keep wildfires in check.
The Moore Peak Fire is named after that hill. As you can see, it's completely burned up, along with hundreds of other acres in Llano County. The Texas A&M Forest Service says firefighters are making good progress and are focused on making sure they don't leave any hot spots that are likely to flare up in today's triple-digit heat.
That heat and sunlight can do in this environment is just make these fires, very volatile and easy to continue burning.
The cause of the fire is equipment being operated during the hottest part of the day, when temperatures are the highest and humidity the lowest. The Texas Forest Service says hot spots like this one are typically cedar trees that get so hot in the afternoon they more or less explode. To prevent disasters like this one, the Forest Service says people just need to be more careful and not run equipment in the hottest parts of the day.
Smoke from those wildfires in Canada back in the American skies. There are still nearly 900 wildfires burning in Canada, consuming nearly 25 million acres. This is widely considered the country's worst wildfire season on record. 70 million Americans are now under air quality alerts today. The worst air will be in New York State, Chicago, and then down through portions of the Great Lakes and Northeast. The good news is that the forecast for tomorrow is much better, with most of that bad air leaving our skies with a wind shift. The Northern Lights were talked last week, the big talk, creating a minor controversy about where they would be seen. They were not visible in the 17 states that some had originally predicted, but portions of Washington state were able to get some good views this weekend. You can see here, this is a photo from Ruby Beach, even captured some of the bioluminescence in the water and the foothills of the Cascades of the Aurora Borealis. They put on quite the show, but once again, very limited to folks off to the far north and west. We'd love to share your weather content on the air, and you can find us on your favorite social media platforms. Just search for the National Weather Desk or scan the QR code on the bottom left corner of your screen. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how intense heat in the Southwest is impacting zoo animals and their handlers. And we'll find out about newly unearthed dinosaur bones found just outside of Washington, D.C. And if you're looking for more great weather content, check out our podcast, Off the Radar. It covers all things weather, space, and environment. Our most recent episode explores the use of AI and different science fields and the way it's being used to keep people safe in the water. You can find Off the Radar wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're back with more after this.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. We'll look at the Northeast. The flooding rains that we had yesterday in the Northeast, that has moved on. Temperatures today are going to warm into the 80s to near 90 degrees. It's going to be very humid in the Northeast today with some sun returning. I think we all deserve some sunshine in the Northeast. We're going to get that. Notice, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Today, temperatures, they're running in the 80s to near 90 degrees. Now, our attention is going to shift back towards the potential for some strong to severe thunderstorms on Tuesday. That chance is greatest in New England during the afternoon.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Starting off warm, 9 a.m., a little lesser humidity, but temperatures already through the 80s. It looks like we are into the 90s once again as we head into Monday afternoon. Again, humidity not quite as stifling. Notice some of the cooler numbers out to the west trying to work in late day. That's with a weakening cold front and some showers and storms. Could have some impact after the hot weather as we head into late day and this evening. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Venus Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast. Highs for the day. We're looking at a hot one at Atlanta at 94 degrees, as well as Raleigh 94, Jacksonville 93 degrees, Mobile 93, 94 in Tupelo, Nashville, Tennessee about 92 degrees, a hot one in West Palm at 92 degrees. Starting off with plenty of sunshine through the morning, and it looks like by the afternoon still some sunny conditions across the Carolinas and back towards Tennessee. A few pop-up showers around Columbia and then down through Jacksonville, South Florida getting some heavy showers and thunderstorms.
Presented by the National Weather Desk.
Nature leaves stormy evidence with this cloud-to-ground lightning captured in recent days from El Paso. It was visible from a storm over Mexico. And there's no loggerhead turtle visible here, but the evidence of its travels and designer tracks were bisecting the beach in Garden City, South Carolina.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Well, humans aren't the only ones who need to keep cool when temperatures soar into the triple digits. So do animals. Jennifer Cuevas reports zookeepers at the El Paso Zoo are getting creative when it comes to helping their animals beat the heat.
As record-breaking temperatures continue in the borderland, everyone is looking for ways to stay cool, including the animals at the El Paso Zoo. Carrie Trudeau is the zoo's animal training and enrichment coordinator. She says while the meerkats have the natural instinct to look for ways to stay cool, the zookeepers are making sure to give them an extra hand on extremely hot days.
We make little ice pops for a lot of our different animals. It just kind of gives them a nice cool treat, just like how little kids like popsicles and stuff in the summer.
And it's not only for the meerkats. Mountain lions get to enjoy a frozen blood popsicle, and the tortoises get to enjoy frozen berries that are prepared in advance by the zookeepers.
This is just one of the novel ways that we can present their food to them. And even if they don't go at it right away and start chomping on it, it's still something different that we can add to their environment.
While some animals require just small ice treats during the day to keep cool in these triple-digit temperatures, other larger animals require just a bit more work and attention.
Although the heat is the same for everybody, Trudeau says the animals definitely have it easier than those looking after them.
They work hard all day long out in the blazing sun, so Obviously, a lot of sunscreen, a lot of water. The keepers will carry a big jug of water with them at all times. A lot of them will wear brimmed hats to try to protect themselves from the sun that way. When they're out in the yards, it can be pretty tough, but it's a job of passion, and so they kind of tough through it.
One animal you probably won't find in a zoo is the Thule elk, which can only be found in California. There's a lot of them roaming parts of the San Joaquin Valley west of Los Baños. Rich Rodriguez got an inside look at some of the animals around their stomping grounds.
Thule elk have been grazing near the San Luis Reservoir since 1980. Back then, the herd was 40, but now it's ballooned to 1,700. They hang out on the hillsides, in the brush, and by shady trees on government land.
They're here for life. We reintroduced them here, and this is where they'll stay. As long as there's room for them to roam, they'll stay here for eternity.
Wildlife biologist Kristen Langner says the elk have more than 1 million acres to roam around the hills. Unlike sheep, they don't follow the leader. Elk, big and small, find groups that fit their needs.
There's distinct groups, even though sometimes those groups will mingle together, but they are actually still distinct groups, and then they'll split apart and they'll go their separate ways.
Larger males, like these bulls with the big antlers, will stay together until mating season. Here's what they like to eat.
They eat the grasses and forbs and actually the new growth on the trees. Once it dries up like this, they can still make use of the dry grass and get the nutrition they need.
For the past year, heavy machinery has been driving by their habitat as work continues to raise the dam at San Luis Reservoir.
They don't seem to mind the vehicles and some of the disturbance, so they tolerate us pretty well here.
8 years ago, Langner started a project to use GPS collars to track their movement. It seems some elk are eyeing a bigger playground.
How we affect them, not just the habitat itself. And so then we can plan over crossings to get them over the highway, and it'll open up that area that's north of the reservoir.
Langner is currently working with Caltrans and other agencies to find a way to make it work.
On the other side of the country, an amazing discovery was recently made in a Maryland collection of dinosaur bones were found. And some of them are so rare, it's the first time they've ever been found in the state since 1887. Brad Bell reports.
You are looking at what scientists say may be the most significant dinosaur discovery in the eastern United States in more than 100 years. Leg bones from a dinosaur which roamed what is now an industrial park in South Laurel 115 million years ago. Paleontologist J.P. Hodnett believes it is from a creature called Acrocanthosaurus. Picture a thinner T-Rex.
It has to do with anatomy. So certain dinosaurs have certain shaped bones, and this had the right exact shape for a big meat-eating dinosaur. Acrocanthosaurus is known from this continent at this time. So that is our top hypothesis of what is the owner of this shin bone.
It's a large predatory dinosaur. It was the largest predatory dinosaur in North America until T-Rex evolved about 50 million years later.
Dr. Thomas Holtz is part of the team working the discovery. This unusual patch of land has been revealing fossils since the 1880s. It is now a protected park and a regular school field trip destination. In the early Cretaceous period, it was a very different place.
Picture yourself with redwoods and cypresses in a stream, very slow-moving stream draining through this region, sort of swampy in parts.
The scientists now believe there may have been a logjam in the stream, which captured the remains of all sorts of animals, which over the eons fossilized under layers of sediment, creating what they now call a bone bed, a jackpot for these dino experts who plan to keep on digging.
The finds we're making here are going to help give us more insights into some of the dinosaurs that we already knew or at least suspected were here.
Well, large portions of the country have recently seen some intense thunderstorms, and it's meant people have been able to get great photos of something called a rain curtain. We turn to meteorologist Alan Seals to share some examples of rain curtains and explain just what they are.
Summertime thunderstorms in very humid climates like the north central Gulf of Mexico can paint a picture
of rain. And what you're seeing beneath the ominous thunderstorm cloud is what's called a rain curtain. That's a photo submitted to Chime In by Catherine S., similar to this one from Todd Nicholson. It shows what seems to be a curtain of rain, and look how sharp the edge is between where it's really raining and where it's not raining. Not unusual with high humidity and your afternoon downpours. There's something else you may see in or around the rain curtain. It's actually called a rain shaft, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a concentrated area of rain from a thunderstorm where literally it could be 50 yards across, it could be a few hundred yards across, and certainly someone is in the middle of a downpour and not too far away, someone may be enjoying sunshine. Enjoy these photos like this one from Randall Bauman, also submitted to Chime In. I'm meteorologist Alan Seals.
And before we take a short break, let's soar over the beaches of South Carolina.
Good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. We do have some scattered showers and storms across a decent amount of the Midwest for the day today. Not covering the entire area, but it's just kind of warm and humid for most of the Midwest, and a lot of smoke from the Canadian wildfires as well drifting its way through. Heading into the day tomorrow, we got a few stronger storms out here to the west, Nebraska, and into South Dakota. By the time we get to Wednesday, that kind of shifts its way down to the east and south, so you notice that we got a few storms in southern Illinois and Indiana Wednesday.
Good morning and happy Monday. I'm meteorologist Jeanette Kanye with a look at the South Central Plains forecast. The dangerous heat continues to be the big story, not just today, but for the rest of the week. We have an excessive heat warning in the pink. That's where we could see high temperatures as high as 106 degrees. A heat advisory in the orange, that's high temperatures up to 104 degrees. So high pressure will keep things high and dry here with lots of sunshine. A frontal boundary will move southward across the region starting by the end of the week.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. Excessive heat warnings and heat advisories draping across the Southwest, including California and all the way up into the Pacific Northwest, the inland areas. Temperatures are starting to cool as we go to the coastline, as a cool front will bring drizzle and cool temperatures to the Pacific Northwest. Slowly, it'll work its way through and bring in some showers a little further to the east. That's the scene from here.
The National Weather Desk.
And put on a beautiful show, but it seems impossible just to keep track of how many times it strikes and where. So how is it done? Anthony Macari lets us know.
Now, in terms of detecting it itself, we have two networks that see the lightning strikes from the clouds to the ground, and also ones that strike from one cloud to the other. That's actually the most frequent type of lightning, is lightning that stays up into the clouds. But there is the National Lightning Detection Network and the Total Lightning Network that help us see where those strokes of lightning are coming from. They detect radio wave changes that help us be able to tell where they are. So at least 3 stations are needed to triangulate where that strike was and how intense. If there's less than 3, sometimes the lightning strike may be over-exaggerated in terms of its strength, or the location could be slightly off. And also a new technology called lightning arrays. Those provide a 3D mapping of the strike. That's kind of in a research mode. We don't have too much on that yet. Plus, there's satellites up in space that can see them up above, but that also is a little bit tougher to tell whether or not the lightning strike actually made it to the ground.
We'd love to connect with you. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Well, thank you for joining us. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll head to the shores of Green Bay to find out about the unique method officials are using to remove plastic from local beaches. I'm meteorologist Brian Vandergraaf. Make it a great Monday, and we hope to see you back here again tomorrow.